Hello, and this is Gary here for Gary and John at Bros Doing Shows. Unfortunately, John could not be here today because he's feeling a little under the weather. But with all the big things going around, I felt that we would do a show, and he felt so too. So, to my brother in arms, now to business. Unfortunately, today it is also not such a good day for TNA because they are definitely getting bought up by somebody, whether it's Billy Corgan, Sinclair Broadcasting, or the WWE, who has also had their name in the hat for their last couple of weeks. We don't know what's going to happen come Bound for Glory. The point is that we will know after Bound for Glory, supposedly, who the new owner of that company is. Now, unfortunately, all of this is according to Dave Meltzer. Billy Corgan became a shareholder in that company around June 6th of this year. And Dixie Carter back when Dixie Carter became a shareholder. On August the 12th, Corgan became the company's new president, and Dixie Carter became the new chairman and chief strategy officer, whatever the hell that means. But we don't know who's gonna own TNA, because with all three of those names in the hat, Sinclair Broadcasting, for those of you that don't know, is connected with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is technically connected with NWA, or the National Wrestling Alliance. So what you have to consider is, are they trying to make a big company? Is Billy Corgan trying to keep TNA, or is WWE trying to buy up their library because they have had so many people that were in TNA come back, like Christian and Booker T and AJ Styles, and then you have guys that were never there that came there, like Bobby Roode and James Storm and Austin Aries. It really, a lot of guys' stories, I think, would make a lot more sense. Then you've got guys like Kurt Angle and the Hardy Boys, who, would make a very good and compelling argument to be back on the roster, seeing as depleted as it is. Also, there are a lot of female wrestlers that I won't go through at the moment that would probably make a good addition, considering Raw's female roster is garbage right now. I don't mean that the wrestlers in it are garbage, because Charlotte and Bayley and Nia Jax and no, those women know how to wrestle. The problem is you can't make a division out of 4 women. It doesn't work that way. So you need more women. Hell, on SmackDown, you have 6. Seeing as we just found out the other day that, unfortunately, and this is extremely frustrating, Paige is out probably for a year, and it's the same sort of problem that unfortunately Nikki Bella had with her neck or her back. She's seen the same doctor that she saw with that was with WWE, but that's their diagnosis. It might be a good thing, and I don't mean it's a good thing that she's injured. I mean, it might be a good thing that she's taken time out because then you get hungry for the ring again. Yeah, I mean, the last few months with all the scandal and the suspension, she didn't care. And maybe when she comes back, she'll have a better attitude about things. I don't know what happened or why she got exactly suspended or suspended for. I'm not going to pretend to know what happened because we don't know what happens behind closed doors. But in the end, I would like to see Paige come back and be as hungry as she was back at, a WrestleMania or two ago when she came out and whipped AJ Lee's ass. Well, let's not pretend that woman can go. So hopefully that is a good thing. But getting back to TNA, I mean, the whole thing there, you have to be able to pay that $40 million for the company, which is what it's supposedly worth, and then pay for the debt that it's in on top of it. Now, that is a very complicated thing to do because you're paying another company's debts on top of paying for a company. Obviously, the last time that happened in a wrestling sense was when the WWE bought WCW. So this is gonna get interesting here in the next few hours. Now, the WWE just recently announced this past week that they are going to be doing another Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I was rather shocked by this, considering that Cody Rhodes left the company and they were going to do this again. But, Dusty Rhodes had a big hand in creating NXT and a lot of the developmental, and, I think it's a great way to honor his memory. So, be that as it may, you've got some of the tag teams that are coming out. One is the Revival. Obviously, they were big in last year's tournament. You have Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in this year's tournament. So you got two guys coming back. And then there was another one that I read and was really shocked by, and that was Hideo Itami and Kota Ibushi. These two, I would say, are a dark horse to win this whole thing, because they could probably kick your face in. I mean, if anyone saw the Golden Star during the Cruiserweight Classic, you're gonna understand what I mean. I mean, that guy is a no mercy kind of a guy. And Hideo Itami ain't no slouch either. And they started having him use the GTS, which, I don't know, it's kind of funny, but I don't know if it's meant at a jab at CM Punk or not, but whatevers. Anyway, he does the move quite well. I love the way he takes his knee pad down and then just like BAM! Right in the face. I mean, that just looks so painful. But the fact of the matter is these two guys are definitely gonna bring it. Obviously, there were only a couple of tag teams announced. I'll have a more precise list for you later on in the week. Another tag team that I think is going to do probably pretty well in this tournament, because I'd be surprised if they weren't in it, would be the Authors of Pain. You're talking about over 600 pounds of two dudes standing there. Yeah, try breaking through that wall, because you're not gonna. I think this should be a very entertaining tournament. They said that there would be 16 teams. So if you take 16, that's probably 4 rounds of tournament there. And they're saying that it's going to conclude at NXT Canada, which, from my recollection, is probably the only tournament or tournament pay-per-view that they've held in Canada. So, I don't know, I might be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure that that's NXT's first trip up above the border. So, definitely happy to see that they're expanding their horizons on that. Then, we've got another thing happening on Raw. Honestly, if you're big into the movie star scene, you know who Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson are. They were on that 70s show, and they're also both on the ranch. And I guess there's some sort of thing that was said on Raw, which Jericho said. I saw it. He called Ashton Kutcher Ashton Kutcher, and I guess Ashton Kutcher didn't quite take too kindly about what Jericho said about him and Danny Masterson. So they're going to be in LA this next Monday, and I guess they're going to go confront Jericho and show them what real friends are. When you get celebrities on Monday Night Raw, it's usually to plug something. In this case, it's the ranch. And, yay, I'm glad you got your Netflix series and everything, but this better be a funny segment, otherwise you're wasting 20 minutes of what could have been a great match for the cruiserweights or the women or somebody else. I really hope it's funny, because I hate it when celebrities walk in, want to get their plug because they're quote-unquote wrestling fans, and then they walk out and they've gotten their plug, but the fans really didn't get anything but a bathroom break. So, unless it's funny. And that's the thing. I'm really hoping that this is funny, especially with all the people involved. Jericho and Kevin Owens are hilariously funny, and Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson are very funny people. I think that if pulled off the correct way, will most definitely come off looking very good for all four parties involved. From what has been said by the Wrestling Observer, Big Show and Mark Henry are going to be having reduced schedules in the ring. Thank God. I loved Big Show to death 20 years ago. Now, you look like someone in slow motion, because you do. And it's just Big Show's work is very lackadaisical, I think is a good way to put it. You can't wrestle that way and be expected to be put on television, because it's like, if you want to wrestle that way, either get on Superstars or huddle your ass to TNA, because no, I'm sorry, that stupid knockout punch that Big Show does is pathetic looking. I mean, Mark Henry's wrestling makes Big Show look bad, and that's a fact. I mean, Mark Henry, again, has been wrestling about the same amount of time, 20 years, but I think the reason, again, it's because he's old, let's face it, but I don't think he ever had a problem in ring. The whole Hall of Pain thing was a great idea. I just feel like it's not, he's not a good fit anymore for the WWE because you're older, you're slower, and sooner or later in wrestling, you get phased out. That's just what happens. It's not an if, it's a when. It happens to all the greats, and it's sad to see what Big Show's career really became, because it's really only going to be remembered for tag team titles. At least Mark Henry has some decent accolades to his career, but even then, not such a great career. So it's sad to see this whole Land of the Giants thing, fall apart from the 90s, because, that was such a failed idea. It really was. Just because you're big does not mean you're great. Another thing that I read over the internet and found, and hoping is friggin' true, is that they're saying Paul Heyman may have a greater role in creative in WWE. Now, things get said over the internet every friggin' day. So, I don't know what's true and who to believe and who not to believe. Nobody really friggin' knows anymore. But if this is true, just fire all these freaking chapstick wearing people from Hollywood that want to kiss Vince's ass, and just let Paul Heyman do your creative. I obviously, your Raw ratings would go from like 3 million to 6 in like 2 weeks tops, because Paul Heyman is good at what he does. That is why the ECW library is on WWE Network, because he was so good at what he does. That is why he is with Brock Lesnar, because he is so good at what he does. So I just don't understand why something like this hypothetically didn't happen sooner, because Paul Heyman is a brilliant mind. That's why people wanted to be a Paul Heyman guy, because the guy was so smart. But if you cannot understand the mentality of what is happening, you have to get the fact that it comes at such a price to other wrestlers when you have these Hollywood people trying to write for them at creative. It's stupid. I just think that let the guy who used to own the company, or a company, do your creative writing. I mean, he's not going to try and sink you at this point. There's no other place to go. So, obviously, his job is going to keep you afloat, not to let the boat sink. I think this would be a great move for WWE if it ends up being true. Speaking of which, speaking of boat sinking, Ambrose is supposedly taking time out to do a film for WWE Studios, so it is highly unlikely that he is going to walk out of No Mercy with the WWE title. This is according to Morning News USA. So, this is my problem. It's already been alluded to that Cena wants his 16th title run. I don't want it, because he has been handed 15 other friggin' title runs. I mean, guys from his era struggled to get one. The Miz had one WWE title. One. Okay? 15? Like, are you serious? Because that is the most ridiculous thing ever. And you want a 16th? You're making me throw up here. I realize you do a lot of extra work for Make-A-Wish. I realize you do a lot of extra work for Be A Star. I realize you do all this extra crap that, helps out the kids. That's great. But that does not equate to a title shot. It doesn't. And quite frankly, what Ambrose said the other day was so true. It was like no one cares about his shake your pom-poms, rah-rah, never give up garbage that he spills out. Especially in this time and economy. Because we all know it's not true. So, garbage. I swear, if Ambrose isn't going to win because he's going to go on some filming quest with WWE Studios, yeah, good luck with that one, Ambrose. There's been all the big fat goose egg of good movies out of that studio. But, maybe it will help Ambrose on the mic, because he maybe needs a little bit of a trim, kind of like he's like a turkey. He's mostly good meat, but he can use a little bit of a trimming or two. But maybe this will help Ambrose in the long run if he's going to be gone supposedly till the Rumble. So maybe he'll show up at the Rumble, get the number one spot, and beat the crap out of AJ Styles or John Cena, whoever is holding it at the time. Because you never know. AJ Styles could walk away with that title, and we could totally not see either one walk out with the championship. I mean, obviously it's not going to be Ambrose. So, it's just, if it's Cena, please, get a wash rag, put some bleach and chloroform on it, and please just knock me out. Because I think I'll be probably throwing up if you don't. I mean, that is just the most despicable thing that you could do, is let Cena win that match. Just like, eh. Now, next thing that we want to talk about is Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, Dolph Ziggler, another big name who's been there for a very long time, is facing The Miz at No Mercy for the Intercontinental title. His contract is also up this upcoming October. Now, a lot of people, nobody really knows for sure where he stands as far as where he's going to go or what he's going to do. Honestly, a win or a loss at No Mercy, in my opinion, is going to make or break this contract negotiation. Honestly, I'm bored of The Miz and this Intercontinental run and him cheating time and time again to win it. Honestly, he makes bad guys look bad, in my opinion. It just... if you want to be bad, don't use the double standard to do it. Especially with pro wrestling, I just think that it makes you look bad in this era. I think women can defend themselves. I'd love to see Nia Jax take some of those skinny little twig boys to school that like to talk smack, that's for sure. Especially the Miz, man. She would take him to school. But the fact is that guys like the Miz are good in small doses. But his Intercontinental title reign is approaching like 200 days, and I've kind of decided I've had enough. I felt like he got chosen to be IC champion because SmackDown's mid card is so weak right now. Like, other than The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, can you name like 5 other people? Because I have a difficult time doing that. And it's gonna be a good thing once some guys from NXT start moving up. Like, hopefully Shinsuke goes to SmackDown, because then you can have him be IC champion and maybe move up to WWE champion, God willing. But you can't have guys like The Miz be the champ forever. It gets boring, like, quickly. Honestly, Ziggler leaving, to me, would be a bad thing. And the reason why is that he's been around about 10 years. Same as The Miz. When you have matches like this, I don't really care how long one or the guy or the other's been around. It's more about who deserves it. And Ziggler, in my opinion, deserves it more than The Miz. And the only reason I'm saying that is that The Miz has been put in the spotlight quite a bit. I don't think that Ziggler has gotten the same courtesy. So I really hope that he wins that, and that he holds on to that title for a nice run. I could see this going in a good place, especially in a steel cage match where Maurice, I guess the only thing she would have a handle of is the door, which I could see her slamming the door in Ziggler's face. But to be fair, with all the time she's interfered, come on, double standard here, people. How many times are you gonna let another guy's wife interfere in a match before you just boot her and get her out of the way? In wrestling, as you know, I see it. It comes down to nature versus nurture, and Ziggler's been a heel before, so I could see this being a good heel turn for Ziggler. I think that title match, he tried to make that heel turn, but everybody loved it so much because it was anti-hero versus anti-hero. He didn't get to make that heel turn. So this might be a good way for him to do it. As far as The Miz, I don't think this would change. If win or lose, I don't think this changes anything with him or how people really look at him. He's going to have to make a big switch of momentum for him to be looked at as a face. It would be interesting for him to maybe go low and look at the tag team tournament, Dusty Rhodes tag team tournament. If he didn't go low and look at that, maybe, okay, so you have a rubber match with Dolph Ziggler, but that would apparently be at Survivor Series. I mean, looking at things as they are now, so unless it's at another pay-per-view. But I think in looking at things, the spectrum, it's going to depend on whether Ziggler wants to re-sign in the first place. If he doesn't want to re-sign, where does I guess he retires, But if he does retire from in-ring, they could offer him some sort of developmental contract out of the ring, helping guys at the development center. I mean, he could be offered a number of different things. Like I was just talking about with Paul Heyman being a part of creative. Guys like that their ideas can be important, because looking at it from the inside out is always a good thing, because knowing what gets the fans going, which Dolph Ziggler has definitely gotten some great pops in the past, you can know how to make the fans react. So I personally feel like No Mercy it's a make or break pay-per-view for SmackDown, and you can't sit there and say that it's not, because SmackDown in and of itself is pretty lackluster right now. I think that Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles and Ziggler have been the only things that have been really keeping me watching. If Ziggler's going to retire and Ambrose is going to leave, oh boy, that's going to be some sad times on SmackDown, I'll tell you. I mean, especially for the IC division. I mean, without Ziggler, what else do you got? Apollo Crews? I mean, okay, but that dude's the one that needs to be going to acting school. I mean, he's sad on the mic. I think they've given him the mic several times on SmackDown Live, and not once has he come up looking all that great. I'm disappointed with the volume and depth that they have on SmackDown. I really wish they'd have put in the cruiserweights on SmackDown, but now they have such a bloated show on Raw, even though it's 3 hours, and can't possibly process that whole 3 hours with everything they want. It just leaves Raw leaves SmackDown looking weak on purpose. So now that you have this uber weak show, what's your plan? Are you going to fill it up with NXT wrestlers and then leave NXT looking weak, which is traditionally the way they've done things in the last few years? Or are you going to buy TNA? Are you going to just, finally, plunder the last bits of TNA that are left? Because, let's face it, we're all pretty smart as far as your wrestling community, and we know that that's what you've been doing. WWE's also not dumb. I mean, you grab the good talent, and you leave the other company with nothing, and then you buy the other company. They're pretty smart about that sort of thing. So everything that's going down will definitely get reported on as soon as I know anything about it. So obviously it's gonna happen Sunday night. So I promise, no later than Tuesday, I will have another video on all of this. And as far as No Mercy, we will talk about that some more once my brother gets back up and hypothetically on his feet. So, for Bros Doing Shows, this is Gary, and normally I'd be saying top guys out, but I'll go ahead and do this instead.